Welcome, everybody, to another exciting episode of Multiplayer, the podcast by Gamers for Gamers. I am your host, Zach Mascanis, alongside the closet boy himself. He's still there, aka the lover boy himself, Javier Ortiz. What up?
Yeah, I haven't left. I've just been trapped in here. It's like that South Park episode where they sing about being stuck in the closet. That's me right now.
Oh, yeah. Who was trapped in that closet? I can't remember.
It was Tom Cruise.
It was Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise, trapped in the closet.
I remember that silly episode. That was a good one. Remember, everybody, that Multiplayer is all over the place, in your ears and in your face. You can find us over at youtube.com/multiplayer, where you can see Hav in a closet, even though you can't really see the closet because he's on like a background, little Zelda background.
Yeah, I got
like
Link in my background. I got Hyrule behind me.
Looks like you got like you're either standing on a mountain or like you're floating near a mountain, and Link's just not paying attention to you.
Because of the depth of this picture, I'm basically a mountain. I'm just a mountain. I'm a giant, like here in Hyrule. So
Mountain Man. So,
yep.
Check out that background at youtube.com/multiplayer. And of course, you can find us over at podcast services of your choice. Pick a podcast service. Anyone. I don't care what it is. Hav doesn't care what it is.
Nope.
As long as you go and you download your little app and then you type in Multiplayer, don't forget that ED on the end, you will most likely find us on that service. If not, message me and I'll tell you go pick a different service.
I use Google
but we're probably
Podcasts.
on there. Yeah, and I got us over on the Spotify, I got us on the iTunes or Apple Podcasts or whatever they call it now. They changed the names and I can't keep track. It's crazy. Then of course you can follow us over at Patreon at patreon.com/multiplayer as well. Of course, Instagram at Go Multiplayer. That's all, bunch of places you can find us. And of course, our episodes go live every Wednesday. I remember this week, Hav. I remembered to say it this week.
Finally.
I forget every week, and I'm like, Hav, just remind me, and you never do.
Something about Wednesday.
But yeah, every Wednesday you can see these episodes. Yeah. And of course, don't forget, Hav, that we're sponsored by G Fuel.
Oh, we are? I didn't know that.
No, I wish we were. For the people at home or in a car or whatever, listen to this on a podcast service. I have a can of G Fuel today, which I saw this at a convenience store, and I was like, oh, snap, they're making G Fuel in a can now? We...
Didn't we have that at E3?
We had it at E3,
yeah.
But it came in like a powder form.
Yeah, it was like Kool-Aid.
Yeah, it was like Kool-Aid powder.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, it's good stuff. And, I can't remember the brand, but I started buying like this like amino energy powder stuff that's for like working out. So I'll throw it into like a workout mix and shake that bad boy up. It's like watermelon flavored. It's pretty good, but it tastes like G Fuel, so I think it's basically the same crap.
They just have different names for their company. They own a bunch of different things.
Yeah, probably so. But yeah, I saw this in the store. I was like, ooh, yeah, Phaseberry, whatever the heck a Phaseberry is. I'm drinking that, and it's pretty tasty. It tastes just like the powder version. It's the let's see, what do they call it? The official energy drink of esports,
Nice.
Which was kind of when we went to E3 a few years ago. That was basically like the bell they were ringing the whole time. It's like, we are the esports drink of choice. If your hands are your profession, we got the drink for you and your controller and your hands. Here you go.
Fuel your gaming.
Exactly. There's also like that Game Fuel stuff, like Mountain Dew makes, and
that's a thing.
You ever never heard of Game Fuel?
Well, I mean, like as a cliche term, yes, for like Doritos and Mountain Dew. I didn't know Mountain Dew actually made something called Game Fuel.
Yeah, it's literally called Game Fuel, so it's made for gamers.
God, how much sugar is in that?
It's made from gamers too. They just
from
grind
gamers for gamers.
Yeah, so it's like they take the old like used up esports players that are now 30 and ancient,
grind them up.
They just like grind them up, into game fuel. Yeah, so people keep trying to obviously it's like sorry, we'll get into real topics in a second. I just thought this would be a funny way to open the show. It's like I remember even in like the Melee days, like Smash Brothers Melee, it's everybody was you go to like a tournament, like a local tournament something, and everybody's drinking Red Bulls or on the East Coast. I don't know if you had this in Philly, but the balls with a Z.
Yes.
Have you ever had that stuff?
Yeah.
That was a big one.
It's like jet fuel.
Yeah, exactly. The root beer one was like pretty solid. So you go and you drink yourself a nice balls, and then you play some Smash.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And if you don't know any of those words, you might be confused if you hear all that in a in a sentence like, "Hey, bro, grab my balls. Let's smash."
Yeah, I always thought it was a weird choice for an energy drink. I never really understood it. Like Monster, I get, Red Bull, sure, but balls,
Yeah.
I never really understood that.
I don't know. Just pick a weird name and, it works. Like Red Bull, what does that really mean? Or I saw one the other day called Ghost. It's like Ghost Energy?
It's just
what is
like, what's a common gamer tag? Ghost. Next there's going to be one called like Shadow.
Exactly. So G Fuel, sponsor us, please. That'd be nice.
Oh
I would love to
That would
I would
be
love
nice.
to get a sponsor for this show. We're broke.
I'm broke.
But anyways, Hav, I think we have a good show today. A lot of Xbox talk. Oh, okay. Good night, everybody. See ya. That is the show. No, I think this is gonna be a good show. A lot of Xbox talk today. Which I wasn't really. I didn't start building the show that way. It just kind of ended up that way because a little idea Xbox event happened today, but I also got a Series X that I want to talk about a little bit, and yeah, just a lot of Xbox talk. A little later on with our boy Duke Nukem. I don't have the sound. Man, I should have brought the soundboard back.
Oh yeah.
Man, missed opportunity. Next time. Yeah, a little Duke Nukem. If we have a little time, another round of You Nintendo Don't Know Jack, which you were 3 for 3 last week, so I need to try and stump you this week.
It's not gonna happen.
We'll see, man. I got a couple stumpers for you.
All right.
So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, first off, before we get into the ID at Xbox event, I figured I would start out with so just some first impressions with the Series X. Obviously, Series X has been out for some time now. So it's like I'm not here to be like, breaking news. I got my hands on the Xbox before anybody. Even though they're still pretty tough to find. So, I ended up buying one because one just popped up, and I was like, all right, I'll scoop that up real quick. I also have a Series S. If anybody wants one, hit me up. It's for sale at price. I don't charge extra. I just help people find consoles at price because screw the scalpers. So hit me up if you need one. But so I've been fiddling around with my Series X, and I'm having a good time so far. So first off, if you know me at all, obviously, if you see all these boxes behind me on the youtube.com/multiplayer side of things, I love a good box. And man, the Series X has the best box in gaming.
What?
Not
it's
the
in
best.
the name.
Yeah, not the best like box as far as like console, but like the box that the box comes in, that's a great box.
It's a good box.
So, we've talked about this on the show before. Hav, Sony with the PS4, with the PS5. I don't recall the PS3 having this issue.
It
maybe.
didn't.
Yeah. So the PS4 and the PS5, they come in these like stupid sleeves. We're all stupid. Like there will be like a weird sleeve that they slip onto the front of the box, and then you open the top of the box, and it always has these like funny little flaps that I can't. Maybe you have a good way to explain this, because
I mean, I don't. It's as if like imagine like you're opening a letter, right? And it's just like you open a letter, like like
Yeah.
that. But imagine when you open the letter, the side of it is like connected. I don't know, like it's really. I could pull one down from up there because I have all my PS4 boxes up there. But
Yeah,
it's just
hard
like,
to even it's hard to explain. It's almost like
I don't know. I don't know what else is like that. It's basically
yeah.
you open a box, and instead of it just opening like cleanly, like 90-degree angle, the sides are connected to the sides of the box.
I got a good way to explain it. So between your thumb and your hand, there's like a piece of skin, like a web.
Oh yeah, it's like having webbed
and
hands.
So, yeah, so imagine you have a webbed hand, and so you open your letter box, and then you have these weird webbed sides that are just connected, and they tear, and it's just like, as a man that likes to collect a good box, it's like heartbreaking. It's just like, no. But the Xbox Series X straight up opens like a treasure chest.
Ooh.
And it's like, it straight up felt like Christmas Day for me. The way the Xbox is just presented to you. Like I felt like I was opening up like a treasure chest in like Legend of Zelda or something, where it's just you. There was like these little stickers that kind of hold the box closed. You take off the stickers, which is like really easy. They had like a little pull tab, and you just like unstick the little stickers, and then and this actually, that's an issue with Nintendo boxes. They have those round stickers, and sometimes it'll like, you try and unstick those round stickers, and it'll like tear the packaging. But Xbox has round stickers with like a little flap to it, like a little pull flap.
Like a ketchup bottle.
They peel, and so it pulled off super easy, and then it just opens like a big chest, and then the Series X is just, it's laying on its side, and it's just wrapped so perfectly in this little like, I don't know what that material is. It's not like a styrofoam. It's like a rubbery plastic kind of material. Most of the consoles are wrapped in it.
Okay.
I just don't know what you call that material, but it's like a.
Is it like that clothy?
Yeah, it's like a rubbery, clothy kind of.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Thing. I don't know what that's called.
I don't know either.
but yeah, so it's like wrapped in that, and then there was like a message on the front that I can't remember. It was called like, where dreams are made of, or something.
Oh, that's
catchy
beautiful.
like that. Yeah, it was just like, it was so beautiful. I was like, like I said, console's been out for a little bit, and it's not like I was this like the first day of a new console, and it's like, oh my god, I'm so excited to open it. It was just like, oh cool, I have this thing, let me open it, and I'm looking for that. Power your dreams. That was the message.
That's beautiful.
But yeah, when I started to open it, I was like, oh my goodness, this is such a nice moment. It's like Christmas Day. Oh my goodness. It's like, it touched my heart. It was packaged so nice. So good job to whoever. I've probably spent too long on this already, but good job to whoever packaged that. Like, that box is fantastic. And the box is in perfect condition still. It looks beautiful. I love it. I love that box. Next time we come over, I'll show you the box.
I'm down. We won't play the Xbox. We'll just look at the box it came in.
We're gonna look at the box.
I'm okay with it.
It's the box Series X.
You should tweet at Sony and be like, this is how you put a console in a box. Or this is how you design a box.
Yeah. You see anything ripped? No, because they did it right. You guys suck.
It's true. I hate that stupid sleeve.
Yeah. But anyways, so I started fiddling around with it. I haven't put too much time into playing anything yet. I've just kind of been getting used to the platform, because I've never been an Xbox guy.
Sure.
I've played a decent amount of Xbox, but like I've just never felt the need to own an Xbox, because like I've never been a Halo guy. I've played a bunch of them. They're fine. I don't think they're great, but I am going to go back and I'm going to play the entire series to give it another shot. But I've never been a big Halo guy. I do like Gears a lot, but that was kind of the game where it's like, well, if I was going to buy this console for a game, it's going to be Gears. But that was really that was the only game I ever felt like I wanted to buy that console for.
Sure.
Other than that, like everything else is like, I like what's going on with like PS3, PS4, PS5 as far as like exclusives go, and anything multi-platform, I'll just get on a PlayStation platform. So what do I need an Xbox for? So I've never felt like I needed one, but we'll get into this later, but I just feel like Xbox is in such a terrific place right now with with Phil Spencer kind of leading the charge, and like what they're doing with like xCloud and Game Pass, and there's like a lot of cool stuff, and obviously they bought a bunch of like different companies, studios. So there's games that I know are coming down the line. Who knows when? But I am excited for like the new Hellblade, and I am excited to kind of go back and go through like the Gears games, and and things like Compulsion Games. I'm excited for whatever they do next. Those are the guys that did We Happy Few. So there's a lot of cool stuff on the horizon. So I'm glad I was able to like find one and pick one up for myself, and start to kind of dive into that that console, and start to look at like some games I've missed on the Xbox side, and Game Pass is terrific for that. I just I got Game Pass, and it's only for the first month. It's $1.
Wow, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, and then after that's $15 a month. But for $1, I could go and catch up on like every Halo game. I could play every Gears game. I could I really want to play through Psychonauts. That's a game I missed out on.
That's a great game.
So I'm gonna go and play that. There's also like I'm a huge fan of Crimson Skies, which is like a rad series, and they just put the Xbox game on Game Pass.
Nice.
So I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna play Crimson Skies, which is freaking rad. I haven't played that game in probably 20 years.
Oh god, it's been that long.
Yeah, it's an old game at this point, or an old series, I should say. But so there's a lot to like there. So as I dive into the back catalog and play more with the Series X, I'll give some additional impressions from a guy that's not an Xbox guy.
Sure.
I think that's the biggest difference between me and other people out there that might be talking about the Xbox. It's like I'm not an Xbox guy, but I really like where the Xbox is going, so I'm super excited to kind of jump into some of that. Sea of Thieves as well. I'm gonna play that with some friends. Yeah,
the new Pirates of the Caribbean for it is gonna come out.
Yeah, so not that I care about Pirates of the Caribbean, but they're constantly supporting that game, so I'm excited to check it out after like 3 or 4 years that it's been out. I bet it's in like an awesome place. So
sure.
Excited to jump into that. So more on all of that in future episodes.
Nice.
But I wanted to kind of jump into this ID at Xbox event. Before I do that, yes, I know that tomorrow there's going to be a Nindy Direct. There might be some of this same stuff in that Direct, but we're recording this on Tuesday the 10th. That Nindy event is on Wednesday when we publish this. So we'll probably talk about that next week. So, there might be some things that pop out where if you're listening to this on like Thursday, it's like, well, why aren't you talking about the Nintendo Direct? It's like, well, we missed it. So get over it. But we were able to catch the idea at Xbox event before recording, which is great. So I wanted to kind of dive into some of that. So obviously, or I should say for the people that don't know what the ID at Xbox event is, that's okay. It's a confusing name.
Yeah, I really don't like it.
We've talked about this on the show before, and I don't want to get into it. I don't want to beat this dead horse, but like ID at Xbox is a terrible name. It's confusing. You can't tell what that is from the title. It's just like Nintendo Indie Direct. You know exactly what that is. ID at Xbox sounds confusing.
Yeah.
And it's like a Twitch stream still, and I don't care about any of that. But luckily, IGN made it real convenient to just go and watch all the all the things that were announced or shown off. So thank you, IGN, for that. Made our lives a lot easier. So anyways, with the idea Xbox event, that's basically like their version of like an indie direct almost, where they show off like a bunch of indie titles that are coming to Xbox and PC, and they might be coming to other stuff too, but obviously they're focused on their own platforms. So some of this stuff is exclusive to Xbox and PC. Some of it is coming to things like Nintendo Switch. But yeah, so with all the, I didn't count them up. There's probably 20-ish games that were shown off. If I had to put a random number on it. So I guess let's do it this way. We didn't go over this before the show. I like to just work on the fly. So how about we just we go back and forth and talk about some games that we're excited about.
All right.
I'll kick it off with Lightyear Frontier, which we just got a little teaser trailer for it, but it's like a Stardew Valley type game mixed with like mechs, which I haven't played a farming sim in quite a while, but I used to be a huge Harvest Moon fan, and I would love to go and play like Stardew Valley, but I don't have time for that kind of stuff anymore. But I'm always excited to see people take a crack at that genre, and this seems like a pretty interesting one, where it's like, first of all, this trailer made the game look very pretty. I know it's probably just a CG trailer, but I like the idea of like a Stardew Valley mixed with like a mech warrior.
Yeah, I think there were a few different farming simulators in here, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Like, there was that one.
There were a few.
Yeah. I was like, oh wow, there's actually more than I personally care for, because it's not my kind of game at all. It's one, the time commitment is way too much, and personally, I just find them kind of boring. Just like, man, I want to do something like. Harvesting resources, just it can only be so much fun. But it still looks like visually it's very appealing, the look of it.
Yeah, and I'll just throw in here because it was basically that. There was a Stardew Valley for Game Pass trailer, and then the Wandering Village, which also looks pretty interesting. That's like a farming type simulator.
It's on the back of the monster, right?
Yeah, that's the one on the back of like a big monster just like walking around, which like looks pretty cool. It looks like there might be a bit of a story there, whether that's told or just kind of through gameplay. You get some of that, like the concept of like a farming sim, or almost like a Sim City type thing. It where you're building buildings and stuff too.
Right.
Seems to be like a blend of those. Like on the back of this big monster also looks pretty interesting.
There was also the evil villain one as well, where it's like you're the bad guy.
Oh yeah,
and you have to create your base and like create all your villains and all that stuff. So I'm saying there's
Evil
quite
Genius
a few of those
too.
kind of games. Yeah, that's it. Evil Genius too.
Yeah.
Too many for my liking.
Yeah. It was a good amount in here, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Was there? Let me get the first one that kind of popped out at you.
So, first, Ollie Ollie World still looks really cool. Like, as soon as I saw it,
it does.
I was like, man, I love how fast it is. Like, it looks like crisp movement. It just, it looks really cool, and like you can design your characters, and they have tons of customizing options, which I'm really excited about. That looks great. I mean, we already thought it looked great before.
It still looks like the best Sonic game ever made.
Yeah, on a skateboard. yeah, it honestly does.
Yeah.
Like, if those guys made a Sonic game, it'd probably be amazing. But
it'd be so exciting.
That looks great. The first one that really, like, when I saw it, I was like, oh my god, this is gorgeous. Legend of the Right, the RPG, where you're it's like a kid's notebook, and you have to...
Oh, yeah,
it's finishing, like, the story before he has to go, or before school ends. And it's just, honestly, it's the visuals that really, like, I was astounded by, because it's like, it's not only is like the game taking place like on a notebook that's being drawn, but you've also got, when you're outside of the notebook, it's like they created like, this is a cardboard castle and here's a dragon, and like the look of it is very, very cool. It's like there's a lot to look at, which it felt a little overwhelming at some points, but I thought overall, like, it just looks so cool, and I love the art style, and I love that it's like, it's hand drawn. It looks like it goes into like little comic book panels at some points. It just looks really great, and I love that idea of, here's a kid who's just writing a story in their notebook during school, right? Because I feel like we all did that as kids. I know I did. Like, I used to draw comics in my notebooks during class because I was bored. And
same here.
Yeah, and like making that into a game, it just looks so great, and it really like hit me personally, because I was like, man, I used to do that too. Like, it's such a good idea for a game, and it's so visually beautiful, and it just it's a very simple style, because like in the notebook it's just like black and white, like a pencil. But once you look out of the notebook, that's where you're hit with a bunch of vibrant color, and it just looks great.
Yeah, that one looked pretty interesting. It has like, feels like some elements of things like Paper Mario, where it's just like, you have like cardboard monsters and stuff like that, kind of just mixed with like pencil drawings. And it really definitely gives you that vibe of, if you're into just doodling in notebooks during class because you're a bad student. Like, really, 100%. That's why we're doing a stupid podcast like this, instead of like, I don't know,
being millionaires at Harvard.
Yeah, exactly. Doing TED Talks or whatever.
Solving multiple world crises.
Yeah, no. Bunch of dinguses over here just chatting about.
I like Xbox.
I like Xbox too.
I like the box it comes in.
Let's talk about boxes. Just like, oh, what's wrong with us?
We're having fun.
But anyways, we're having fun. That's my motto in life. But yeah, so that game looked pretty rad. What's actually pretty interesting, there seems to be a lot of games that like are hitting, I won't say the same beats, but like similar beats. Like, there are a bunch of kind of farming simulators or SimCity type kind of like build a place kind of thing. And then like for this, for instance, like the Legend RPG time, The Legend of Wright, there's like another thing called Inked, A Tale of Love.
That was on my list too.
Oh, great. So I'll let you talk more about it, but I just thought it was interesting. That's like another like pencil drawn, like hand drawn looking game.
I mean, it's more of the same. It's kind of more the same. Like it looks like it's somebody with like a blue pen on a piece of paper just started drawing, and it's really, I have it. I'm sorry, I'm looking at my phone because I want to look at it as I'm talking about it.
Sure.
But it's also like, I love that I think it's supposed to bounce from like the real person drawing it to the story that they're telling, and how it's gonna like interconnect both of the stories, like the person drawing it and then their personal story as well. But I love that it's like, it's got like that feudal Japan type of look to it, like the character models, like you're like this little person with like I think I forget what the hats are called, but it's that very like cliche like Asian hat where it's like, I don't know what they're called, but
that's all right.
Yeah, but it's like,
we've already established
we're not smart.
We're not smart people.
No, we're not. But like that look, it's really beautiful. And then at certain points there's color. So like, at one point, like the guy's on a little surfboard and he's going up like a stream, and it's just a beautiful blue against just this white backdrop with like, whatever is drawn with like the pen. And so the color, while there's not a lot of it, when there is, it just pops, and it's vibrant and very beautiful to look at. Like there's a point where you're in front of like this red tunnel, and again, it's like that's the main color on the screen that you're looking at, and it's really beautiful to look at. Again, it's like, I feel like we're both suckers for art style. So when it comes to, and me personally, I love hand-drawn art style, and I think that's because I think that's a product of our time, like growing up in the 90s. Like animation was all hand drawn, and I think we all have that feeling of like, man, that's way better than like nowadays where it's like computer animated rather than hand drawn like cells. And I think that's why like this and Legend of the Right hit us so much, is because of that hand drawn art style, because it looks as if you're, I don't want to say like a flip book, like that kind of animation where it's like very steppy, but it looks as if when you're moving, it's as if you're looking at a page of a notebook, and you're just looking down the page and things are changing because you're drawing it as you're looking. So I just love that. I love art style. I love unique art styles. It doesn't need to be a big flashy game with incredible, graphics and 3D rendering and what's the new fancy ray tracing. That's all fine and dandy, but like, when you have unique art style that tells a really interesting story, just visually, like it's just, that's what I find, that's what I love so much about these these indie games specifically, because it's easier to develop, but like, man, it's just so pretty to look at.
Yeah, and something I'll just make note of here, that I kind of noticed with this, I want to call it a direct, I guess they would just call it an event, but
the idea at Xbox event.
I hate that. It just does not roll off the tongue. But there was a lot of like interesting indie games in this mix. Like there's just a lot of artists, and I use that in like the best possible way, where it's like these artists like all with their own flavor, coming up with these like really interesting concepts for like art styles and gameplay mechanics, and just like doing things different. And this one of the things I really love about where gaming is at right now, where it's just, there's so many people from like the huge AAA games, from the God of Wars all the way to like small simple games like Undertale, or it's just you just have this like such a mix. And you have events like this idea at Xbox event where you give these like indie devs a platform to really show off their art, and it's fantastic.
I agree 100%.
Another game I wanted to give a shout out to is the Artful Escape.
I had that too.
Yeah, that game is super cool. So
I'll let you go.
Yeah, so this game, it's basically about a teenage guitar prodigy becoming a folk music legend, and it has like a bunch of like great voice talent and like actual musicians like at its core.
Carl Weathers in it.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And it's from the art style to the music to like I don't they showed gameplay, but like as far as like the minute to minute like what is like they kind of show it like a 2D platformer, you're running around, you're like shredding on the guitar, but like I don't know, are there enemies that you're like fighting, or like are you playing that music? It's kind of hard to tell in that trailer, like
agreed,
what the minute to minute gameplay is like. Is it just like a runner, like a platform runner where you're just like avoiding obstacles? It's kind of hard to tell, but I'm really excited to learn more about it. Like, I'm excited to like really see that game in action. Yeah. And I think that one's coming out September 9th. And it's going to be on Game Pass. So
in a month.
I'm definitely going to give that one I'm going to be trying that one out. Like that looks rad.
Yeah, I when I saw it, I have like a mixed feeling, right? And it's not super contradictory. Like I still think it looks cool and very interesting, and I'm interested in playing it. However, like as much as I love the look of it, what I loved the most was when they showed you, the gameplay that they did show, the movement. I love the background. Like everything that's happening in the background is gorgeous. It's beautiful, and it's like, it's tied to the music, which I'm assuming will be really good in this game. Like that's something I'm also really excited about. It's just the music of it. However, the only thing I don't like And this is just, again, this is art style, and I'm not a particular fan of this. I am not a fan of the puppeteer kind of art style. Like, this kind of looks like a puppet, that's being controlled by a ventriloquist with the way the arms move, and like, it's like that. It's like, well, hello there, like, it's that type of style. Like, it just threw me off the whole time. Like, that's the only thing I didn't like, because I don't know, it just feels too like, whoa, we're rag dolls. It's the only thing that threw me off. But like,
what?
yeah, but like, I love, like, the voice talent looked great, the sets look great, like everything outside of the actual character design looked really cool to me. And I love, like, again, I love the colors that are being used in the background, especially when they hit with the music track and you just hear like a boom and like there's a big light explosion. It just looks really great. Looks super cool. And I love the idea of, like, you're playing somebody who just wants to be like a folk music star. That's really interesting. I love that.
Yeah, it looks pretty interesting. So I'm excited to check that out when it comes out.
Yeah.
I have two more on my list. First one I'll mention is The Big Con, which is like, basically,
it looks like an episode of Doug.
I know, yeah. It looks like it's like so 90s, and it's like art style and kind of what it's doing. It's pretty interesting. It's like, and it's got like a great voice cast. It looks like it's not taking itself too seriously.
Yeah.
It's just it's basically like an adventure game set in the 90s with like a runaway teen con artist hustling people, I guess.
Yeah, it's like that movie Catch Me If You Can with DiCaprio and Tom Hanks.
It's a bad movie. Book is way better.
What? Okay.
Book was way.
Well, you don't like
better.
Movies, so your opinion doesn't count.
I don't like books either, but the book is great. I'm just kidding, but books are great. Movies are great, but yeah, I mean, that's it's a pretty interesting looking game. I like what they're trying to do with that. So
yeah, for sure.
And that's coming out the end of the month. So a lot of these games are basically like in the next couple months.
Yeah, a lot of these are coming up pretty soon.
Do you have a final, like, number one, this is what I'm most excited about?
I had two more on my list, but honestly, my top one was The Legend of the Right. However, the other two that I'm really excited about, one, the Eon Drive, or Aeon. Not really, I think it's Eon.
Yeah.
That looks super cool because, cyberpunky. I think it said, Neo Barcelona is where it takes place. That's super cool. Love that idea. I never see games take place in Barcelona of all places, so I think that's super awesome. But I love
kind of felt like a Mega Man X game where you're playing as Zero. That's kind of what it felt like. You have a dash mechanic, you have a sword.
I love that. It's fast. When I saw it, I was like, ooh, this is like Mega Man and Celeste. Like, you're just going.
Yeah.
And I love that
100%.
idea. Like, I love platformers. I love platformers that go fast, that you can speed run. I just love, I love being able to hop around and just dash around boards, which is really
gotta go
awesome.
fast.
Yeah. And then the last one that I had, the Veil Shadow of Crown.
Okay, so this is my number one.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
Super interesting take on a video game, because it seems like you're not going to be able to see jack s.
Yes.
Like, you're not going to see anything.
So for the people out there at home that didn't see this ID at Xbox event, so the Veil Shadow of the Crown is an audio-only video game. I'll say that again: an audio-only video game.
Yeah, you better have a good pair of headphones.
So you're playing a blind adventurer who has just been made warden of a small castle on the outskirts of a kingdom. This is available August 19th, and I'm super excited to play this game, because this is like, you're basically playing a princess, is what, if I remember correctly, and this is basically a game that's audio only, which is fascinating, because it's like, I can't think of any other game like that. I mean, I know
there
games.
I don't think.
I've played games that are visual only, like text-based adventures and stuff like that.
Sure.
But I can't say I've ever played an audio only game, which is like, that's that's fascinating to me. That's something that and it's hard to get a sense of the moment-to-moment gameplay from the trailer, but what it sounds like is, at least from that trailer, it sounds like almost like a radio play. If you ever listen to like an old school radio play where, it's like people speak in a certain manner so the actions that are going on. Sure. Where it's like, hey, Bob, what are you doing with that briefcase in your hand? And why are you wearing that blue suit with 4 buttons on it? They talk in a way where it's like you get a sense of like what's very going on around you. So I'm curious to know, like, the moment-to-moment gameplay, like if somebody shouts at you, like, on God, like, do you just start hitting buttons to slash at them? Or like, it's kind of tough to say, but I'm very interested. And like I said, this game comes out, and I guess from the day we're recording this on the 10th, comes out on the 19th. So hopefully not next week, but the week after, I'll have some impressions on this game. I'm definitely going to play this one.
It seems really cool. Like, I love the idea.
So overall with this whole idea at Xbox event, there's so many different artists that are doing very different things from one another, to the point where, I mean, you have games where it's an audio only video game. It's like that's so different than what else is out there. So I'm always happy to see Xbox kind of promoting these different developers and helping them come to the Xbox platform, come to Game Pass day one, and supporting them sometimes financially, but sometimes just like through avenues like this, like the like this event. But it's always great to see. There's always like so many interesting games people are trying to come up with these days. So there's some good stuff on the horizon. Yeah.
Veil of the Shadow of the Crown. It just looks great. Sounds great. It sounds great. And it reminded me of Hellblade a little bit. The combat mechanics in that game is very audio based. So.
That's very true. That's probably, I would say that's probably the closest example to this game. There's a lot. That's a very audio heavy game, and basically you get like your cues for like how injured you are through the voices in your head, and kind of
where the danger is coming from.
Yeah, exactly. So, man, that's a great example. Good job, Hav.
That's why I'm here.
I knew I put you on the show for some reason. I thought it was for your stunning good looks, but I guess it's
that doesn't.
I guess you got a decent brain in that skull of yours.
Good brain.
In the bone helmet, as they say. But anyway, so moving on. We're quickly running out of time, but there was a question I wanted to kind of get to this week. And I kind of mentioned it at the top of the show a little bit, where obviously I just got a Series X, Xbox Series X, not because of Game Pass, not because of xCloud, not because of definitely not because of Halo. A lot of those things are great. Like Game Pass, I think is terrific. It's a terrific deal if you're in that ecosystem. And I also think there's like great indies coming to the platform through ID at Xbox, for instance. But like what brought me to that platform is Phil Spencer. I think that guy is really taking Xbox in such a great direction. I love, basically how straightforward he is. Anytime he talks, like, he'll get on a podcast or he'll get in front of a crowd, and he's just like, you could just tell he's like a genuine dude. He loves video games. He's just like straight up, and just kind of honest with what he's saying. He's like a guy, like, if this guy was like running for president, like, I like the cut of this man's jib, he's just that kind of guy. Exactly. Like I would love to just sit down, have a beer with him and talk video games,
Yeah.
So he is the reason, that man, Phil himself, he's the reason I bought a Series X, because I think he has some great ideas for where Xbox should be going, and I'm excited to see it because I think he's going to lead Xbox into like a golden era for that platform. So my question for you, Hav, is is there a company face or a brand message that got you hooked on a specific console or a brand as a whole? And just to kind of give an example, Sega Genesis's campaign when that came out was like terrific. That's really like the Genesis was sold as the cool system. It's like Nintendo's
attitude,
for
baby.
like little. Yeah, it was all attitude. Like, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but the guy that was running Sega of America at the time, just like he just took them in this direction where it's like, let's make fun of Nintendo. They're gonna be the baby console, and we're for like cool kids wearing like shades inside, and backwards caps. Yeah, exactly. So it's just like we're the cool guys.
Sega does what Nintendo don't. That still stands today.
And because of that, like so many people bought that system. They bought the Genesis with like, yo, this is for cool kids. I'm down with Sonic and Golden Axe and all this stuff. So I wanted to kind of get your thought on this. Like, is there a brand message or a face for a console that really like hooked you into something maybe you didn't believe in at first?
So not necessarily that I didn't believe in it, but it was at a time where the console was just like, ooh man, that's pretty steep, and I don't know. But the Kevin Butler marketing campaign for the PS3, man, that is just peak great marketing, and it's funny. Every commercial was hilarious, and it made me like love Sony even more, and like just the PS3, because they were also like kind of comparing it, to the Wii, but not saying that Nintendo was bad. But I remember one where, it was for I think it was called the PlayStation Move, and he was saying apparently some people think motion gaming is for kids, and he just starts laughing, and then there's an epic montage of a family like playing the PlayStation Move games, and it's very dramatic and epic, and it's really funny. So that whole campaign was hilarious. Like I loved it so much, and it made me get a PS3, to be honest. And like I loved everything that they had going for them. I love Kevin Butler as like a spokesperson. He was super funny, and I think he was like the fake CEO of PlayStation. I think that was his title. He was like the fake president or something. He was great. That one, and there's another one that I thought of that didn't affect me, but because it's a little early in my life, so I wasn't really affected that much by it. And I wasn't in Japan at the time, but the Sega, what was it called? The Sega Saturn. The Japanese marketing campaign for the Sega Saturn with Segata Sanshiro. That is the great, and I this is why Sega is so. That's why I love them for that specifically. The Segata,
bring him back,
dude. If you have never heard or seen the Segata Sanshiro commercials for the Sega Saturn, they are so funny and so brilliant. And he's basically it's just this Japanese judo master who would just beat up people who didn't have a Sega Saturn. It was literally, he would walk up to kids, and if they didn't have a Sega Saturn, he would judo flip them, and then they would play Sega Saturn. It was so funny. It's so good. I loved you could find the commercials on YouTube or something.
Oh, 100%. You can find a whole compilation of there. Yeah, please look them up if you don't know who that is. Because, man, those commercials are hysterical.
Yeah, because it was at a time where the 64, the Nintendo 64 was just taking over, and everybody was buying it. And then Japan, Sega was like...
And the PlayStation.
And the PlayStation. And then Sega Japan was just like, we got to think of something to sell the Saturn. And they came out with this crazy ingenious idea of this judo master who would beat up anybody who wasn't playing a Sega Saturn. And the Sega Saturn actually, the sales actually topped the 64 for a short while, and it worked. So that again, that campaign didn't affect me personally, but growing up and then
it's a good one though.
Learning about it was fantastic.
Yeah.
And then lastly, this one did affect me as a kid. The Sony marketing for the original PlayStation with Crash Bandicoot going up to Nintendo headquarters and just calling out Nintendo with a megaphone. I thought that was great. It made me ask my parents for a PlayStation because like, oh man, Crash Bandicoot, his name's Crash, which is very like, again, Attitude Era of the 90s, Crash Bandicoot. It's like, I don't know what a Bandicoot is, but the name Crash is really cool. And there's this guy at Nintendo just talking smack on Mario, which I thought was hilarious. So like, I ended up getting a PlayStation just because of those commercials. So that one affected me as a kid, and then Kevin Butler as a teenager affected me a little later in life. So
yeah, it's funny that Sony took basically the Sega concept and it was like, let's just make fun of Nintendo. Let's like
basically.
let's literally have a mascot go to Nintendo headquarters and like make fun of them.
Yeah, I loved it.
Which is great. Yeah, I'm with you with Kevin Butler. You probably completely missed it, but a few weeks ago, I sent a tweet. I posted a tweet. I sent it out into the interwebs. I tweeted. To his name's Jerry Lambert, the guy that plays Kevin Butler, and I was just like, like what I feel like PS5 is missing is like a face, like a good face to, just tell me that like this console's awesome. They don't have any of that right now. They have, Jim Ryan, who just looks like a jerk and sounds like a jerk. I don't like that guy at all. It's like, and I was like, just bring back Kevin Butler and bring back Kevin Butler. That guy is incredible. So I sent that tweet out into the Tweeterverse,
nice.
The other week because I miss Kevin Butler.
Though and Nintendo's gotten away with it with literal mascots, but mascots are important. Giving a face to your brand is very important in marketing and like selling your product. It's like we relate to like a dude who's really funny and who's just like, this is our system and it's awesome and here's why. It's like that's why Reggie was so cool for Nintendo. Like, he was very public and people loved him and like, he would talk smack at a Smash tournament, which was great. Like, it was so good, and you need those faces.
Yeah, and Reggie's also a great example where he came in at a time, Reggie Fils-Aimé, the president of Nintendo of America for a while. He came in at a time where Nintendo is at like kind of an all-time low. He came in basically on the tail end of like the GameCube, and sales were not great. And Reggie came in, and he's like, "Look, I'm here to kick ass and take names." It's a literal quote. The first time he comes out on an E3 stage, he's like, "I'm here to kick ass and take names." And I'm like, this guy is all right.
I'm in.
I'm in. Yeah. Like, sometimes that's all for a company that's like so geared towards kids and families and wants to always play by the rules and be nice. To have somebody just come out and just say that is fantastic. That's somebody that's just like, look, I'm here to like really take this brand and run with it and have some fun. And he really did. Well, the whole time he was there, like they, like you said, he's talking trash at Smash tournaments. He's having fun with like fans, and I've been outside of like the Staples Center like before E3, and Reggie will pull up and get out of the car, and you would swear he was like a rock star. People are like, "Oh my God, it's Reggie!" I mean, he really like. He was a great face for like Nintendo of America. And obviously, you have great faces for Nintendo in general with like, I mean, Miyamoto is just an absolute legend there. Sure. So it's just, but to have somebody like specifically for like Nintendo of America, for us here in the States anyways, really in a time that was tough for Nintendo where it's like their sales aren't great. and then they're going into a bunch of weird consoles, and the DS is about to come out and the Wii's about to come out, and somebody needs to sell me on these concepts, because a handheld with 2 screens with a touchpad is strange, and then you got a little weird wand with your with this Wii, and like, if it wasn't for Reggie, I don't know how I'd feel about those 2 consoles. Like, it was just one of those things. Like, I you know, when the Wii was first announced, like, man, I don't know, this just sounds so weird. But Reggie made me feel good. He made like, he's like, dude, trust me, this is gonna be great. You're gonna have fun. You're gonna bowl. You're gonna like, you're gonna play tennis. You're gonna play tennis. I was like, oh snap! All right, dude, I'm in. Like, once again, like, Reggie, I wish I could just sit down, drink a beer with him, and like talk video games. Like, he just seems like such a fun guy.
100%.
And then we do some tennis or something.
Play some Smash.
Yeah. So, you know, yeah, I mean, it's always, you know, video games are interesting because, and I know we ran way long on this topic, but I'm enjoying it. So Duke Nukem, I'm sorry, we're not going to talk about you this week, but, it's okay. So, you know, video games are interesting because it's, you know, it's like, how do I explain it? Like, you know, if you take something like a TV show or a movie or something, you know, you have like Warner Brothers, you know, where it's like, yeah, you know, they have like their water tower or whatever. And like, you know, you have like your shows that everybody knows, like Friends. But at the end of the day, it's like, you don't need like a face, you know, you don't need like a Reggie or like a Miyamoto at the face of like Warner Brothers to convince you to watch Warner Brothers movies. You're just going to like do it. You're going to sign on to HBO Go and be like, oh, I'm gonna watch Suicide Squad. You know, it's like, so it's but like, video games are in this like weird spot where it's like, you know, it's like part like kind of movie industry, part like, you know, like sports is like, it's like, here's a brand, like we are Team Nintendo, you know, here's our like emblem, our logo, you know, slap that baby on a shirt and wear it around. You know, we have, you know, these like exciting games, and here's the face of it all. Here's the Kobe Bryant of Nintendo, Reggie Fils-Aimé, or, you know, Miyamoto or whatever, and people like get behind that and get so excited, and, you know, you just have crowds of people cheering for like, you know, some dude in a suit. You know, and like, when you think about it, it's like, that's kind of wild. But sometimes, you know, video games needs that.
Yeah, it's an interesting branch of the entertainment industry, right? Because it's like, you can't just rely on multiple TV shows or movies, you know, because they kind of are their own thing. They may be owned by like if we're gonna use Warner Brothers, right? Like, people aren't necessarily thinking about Warner Brothers. They're thinking about the movie or the show that they're watching, but they just need to see that emblem of the tower or whatever, the shield, and they're like, oh, it's a Warner Brothers store. That's cool. But like, a game is slightly different than that, right? Because it's you automatically think of Nintendo game. You know, it's not necessarily like Zelda game. It's Nintendo game. It's all Nintendo. This is all Sony PlayStation. This is all Xbox. And so, having a face for that or a mascot, like, it just makes more sense, because when it comes to video games, we look at the publisher/developer first before we look at the individual game by itself. You know, and so we look at Nintendo as a whole. We don't look at just like Super Mario, or Paper Mario, or Breath of the Wild, or Super Metroid. You know, we don't think about, you know, well, while we can judge those games individually, we look at Nintendo as a whole and be like, this is your work. It's great. I love it. And I love the person in front of it who's backing it all, you know?
Yeah. And obviously, you know, we're coming at this from like hardcore fans of like video games as a whole. You know, it's like your typical mom that walks to like a GameStop trying to buy a, you know, quote unquote Nintendo game, which probably, you know, she's trying to buy Halo. It's like, hey, I'm looking for that Nintendo game with all that space guy for my son.
What?
But you know, as like, it's like a ripple effect where it's like, you know, you have it kind of starts at the hardcore fan base and sort of ripples out from there. Where it's like,
Sure.
you know,
But even, I would say, even nowadays, a mom or grandma is still going to walk into a store and be like, where's the Nintendo? It's
yeah,
it's not the Switch. It's not the 3DS. It's not the Mario game. It's just, where's the Nintendo at? And that's how that's how these, where's the PlayStation? I don't know what number you're on. I know about the PlayStation. So just get me whatever the latest one is, or the Xbox. And no grandma, no mom or dad's gonna walk into the store and be like, give me the Xbox Series X, Series S.
Yeah.
None of that. It's just, give me the Xbox.
I just watched the idea Xbox
exactly.
game of it.
Exactly.
But anyways, I just I wanted to kind of take some time and sort of dive into that question, because it's like, I'm just a big fan of like branding and marketing. I'm kind of a big nerd for that stuff.
Sure.
So, video games as a whole, I've always been fascinated with how they're presented. And I was, with all the, crap behind me in my room, all the boxes and advertisement
Sure.
and stuff, it's all interesting to me. And so it's like the face of a brand, or the message behind a brand is always like super, super fun to sort of dive deep into. You came up with some good examples.
Dude,
obviously the
Sega to Sanshiro, man. I'm telling
what a
you,
good one.
For anybody who has never seen those commercials, please. It's just the word Sega with a T-E or T-A and then Sanshiro. So Sanshiro. They're so funny.
Yeah. Let's put some stuff on Instagram from that.
Yeah, one of my favorites is when he's at bat at a baseball game, and instead of using the bat, he kicks the ball for a home run.
Oh, that one's so good.
It's so ridiculous. It's so funny.
And also just seeing a grown adult man just beating up a child.
Oh,
it's always great in my book.
It's hilarious.
But so we're basically out of time, but I definitely want to do a round of You Nintendo Don't Know Jack. So, for the people out there that don't know this game, it's where I have a bunch of Mario quiz cards from 1995 that are all a bunch of nonsense with nonsense questions.
Have nothing to do
and
with
nonsense
Mario.
answers. Nothing to do with Mario. It's all just so ridiculous.
Yep. It's just random general knowledge, really.
Yeah.
But
And
they
so
just
I like
painted some
to-
pictures of Mario on it.
So I like to try and stump Hav with some of this stuff. And last week he was 3 for 3, and I feel mad about that. I feel upset.
Come on, I'm a smart guy.
Just kidding. Smart guy doing a video game podcast.
Talking about boxes.
Talking about boxes. But yeah, so I have a couple questions this week. So let's see if I can stump Hav. Let's see if he Nintendo Don't Know Jack.
Dun-dun-dun-dun.
All right, so Hav, I had a silly one to start you off with. Let's see if I have it here. Here it is. This one's from the category Geography. Hav, how are mountains created? And your first answer is Earth's crust folds or wrinkles. Okay, so that's your first multiple choice answer. And number 2 is bombs are set off underground. And then number 3, meteorites fall and splash up big mounds of Earth.
They splash up big mounds of Earth, huh?
Yep.
Well,
So it's Earth's crust folds or wrinkles, bombs or meteorites.
I'm gonna have to go with I feel like the scientific, educated answer would be A. I like C
Not
the
bombs.
most. I like the meteorites the most. It's like, man, that mountain wasn't there yesterday. Oh wait, it's a meteor just dropped, and that's why.
Actually, bro, I just set off some bombs.
I just
there.
I just put some C4 underground, and that's how that mountain was made.
That's how you get rid of mountains. And obviously, that you are correct, because that's such nonsense. These questions are so stupid.
I love it.
Earth's crust is made of large plates in constant movement in relation to one another. When 2 plates rub together or move apart, the pressure created forces some of Earth's surface upward, forming mountains.
So there you go.
And this one doesn't really have a great picture. It's literally just a picture of Mario just like next to some mountains.
Oh, that's
really
lame.
phoned it in. Like they should have had like Mario on the top of Mount Everest or something.
Yeah,
it's
him
like,
and a bomb.
like, yeah, like planting a flag. And then the back is just like, just a picture of some like, Earth making mountains, I guess.
Out of like
really phoned it in on this card.
That's like a 4th grade science textbook.
Oh, yeah. But I got 2 stumpers for you now.
All right.
I think this is a good one. And who knows if this... you know what? Let's do these 2. So both of these are going to be from land transportation.
Okay.
So your first question, Hav, when was the first gasoline-powered motorcycle built? Was it 1675, 1742, or 1885?
A gas-powered motorcycle. I mean, they didn't have engines like in the 1600s.
Or did they?
No, it definitely didn't. And then 17 what?
1742.
No, it's the 1800s. It has to be.
And you are correct.
Yeah,
the first
come on.
gasoline-powered motorcycle was built in 1885. In 1885, a German named, oh boy, I'm going to butcher this, Gottlieb Daimler, combined a bicycle with a gasoline-powered engine. The previous year, an Englishman named Edward Butler, way easier name to say, had mounted a similar engine to a tricycle.
Oh.
Yeah, just you see a 3-year-old riding around now on a gas-powered tricycle. Yes, you are correct. But the art for this one's way better. Look at Mario on a motorcycle driving
that's
around.
really cool.
Yeah, that one's pretty dope. I like that one. And
Has
on the
Mario
back
ever
here,
been on a motorcycle outside of Mario Kart?
dude, come on, hasn't he?
I don't know. Has he like outside of Mario Kart? I don't know.
No, I'm just no. So in the Mario Odyssey, he's on a moped at one point, which is like kind of like a motorcycle.
Yeah, that's true.
Outside of that, I don't think he's been on one.
Yeah,
except for this card.
I like that card a lot. That's really cool.
Yeah, that's a cool one. And then, on the back is just like a bunch of people riding dirt bikes.
Like dirt bikes.
All right, last question. See if I can stump you with this one. All right. It's a similar question. Let's see if you can get this one. So, Hav, when was the steam train invented? Was it the 1700s, the 1800s, or the 1900s?
Steam engine or steam train?
Yep, the steam train.
I'm gonna say 1800s again. I'm pretty sure.
1800s for the win, baby. Steam train was invented in the 1800s. In the early 1800s, Richard, I'm gonna butcher this again. Richard Trevithick. It's spelled just like that too. Trevithick.
Trevithick.
Yeah, he thick. So Richard Trevithick of England built an engine that used high-pressure steam to propel it on a track. Before long, steam engines puffed along carrying freight and passengers from country to country.
Knew it.
And on the front, like, I feel like they could have done a little better. Once again, they kind of phoned it in a little bit. It's just Mario looking like a train engineer, just holding a picture of a steam engine. Like, put that Italian plumber on a steam engine, or a steam train, like driving that.
Yeah, just put him on a locomotive.
Why is he holding a picture of it?
What's with is that a porcupine up top?
Yeah,
what is that
which
thing?
I guess it's a porcupine. Or it's like a really bad version of Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah, I was like, what the heck is that thing? And why is it there?
I don't remember a game with like what Mario game is a porcupine. I can't remember. It had to be 95 or earlier.
I can't think of any.
I can't think of one off the top of my head at the moment.
Wait, Super Mario World, they had those moles.
Yeah.
But I don't think they had like spiky animals.
Yeah, I don't remember a porcupine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah. And then on the back, it's just a picture of a steam engine.
Whatever.
Or a steam train, excuse me. All right, so that's 3 for 3. Maybe I'll get you next week. I got a great one. I got a great one here for you for next week. I'll save it. That's going to be a stumper for you. I know it. You ain't gonna Nintendo that one.
We shall see.
Alrighty, well, that is our show, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us this week. I hope you enjoyed this one. I had a lot of fun with this, despite not talking about Duke Nukem. Maybe next week, maybe not. Yeah. What a silly man. But yeah, thanks for joining us. Remember, you can find us, on Instagram at GoMultiplayered. Where we're gonna put up some Sega Saturn ads. It's coming.
That would be hilarious.
Yeah. And then of course you can find me at ZachMatzGanis. That's ZACKMATZGANIS. Where can we find you?
On the gram, at Loverboy_Hav.
Lovely. And of course, if you like what we do, go to Patreon at patreon.com/multiplayer, where you can throw us like $1 or $2 a month, and it really goes very far to just like helping us make the show. Basically pays for like our streaming services and stuff like that. There is cost in that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But we love making the show, so it's one of those things where it's like, well, if it can just balance out, or it's like we can make the show.
I don't need to make a profit.
And yeah, I don't need to make a profit, but it's good to just like be able to like pay the expenses, pay the bills.
Sure.
So check us out over there if you like what we do. But yeah, that's our show. Woo!
Love it.
We did it. Yeah. So thank you so much, everybody. We will see you next week, and of course, remember,
we love you, and you should love you too.
That's right, baby. See you next week. Peace.
Watch Sega Sanshiro ads.
We here at Multiplayer would like to give a huge special thank you to Kevin Hopkins, William Euchre, and the rest of our amazing Patreon community. If you'd like to support our podcast and get a shout out at the end of each show, be sure to check out our Patreon at patreon.com/multiplayer. See you next time, players. We love ya!